So the NFL preseason kicks off last night, and the Dallas Cowboys, an underdog, win outright over the Cincinnati Bengals in the Hall of Fame game. My impressions from the contest, those are 3.5 hours of your life that if you spent watching that game, that you will never get back. Total waste of time. You don't take anything out of those games. As I told you yesterday in discussing the contest, preseason games, the first 2 weeks are simply a crapshoot because unless you know, and even when you do know, the quality of the second and third teamers, it's still a roll of the dice. Every betting proposition is a 50-50 proposition, but I'm telling you guys, the first 2 weeks of preseason, I've never understood how guys can come out with huge plays on those games. I've never understood why people would bypass baseball and bet on preseason football the first couple of weeks. But, little interesting fact here. Last night, again, the straight-up winner won and covered the spread. You know, last year, from the start of the preseason, the Hall of Fame game, right through New Orleans' upset of Indianapolis in the Super Bowl, there were 332 games played. The straight-up winners went 265, 58, and 9 against the spread. That's almost an 82% covering clip. And last year in the preseason, the straight-up winners, are you ready for this? They went 56, 3, and 4 against the spread. So if you had that crystal ball that you got at Kmart and it was working last year and you could just easily pick the straight-up winners of these games, you won an absolute fortune. But as we know, it's just not that easy. The Sunday free baseball pick on the LA Dodgers with Lily on the Hill was an easy winner as they rocked Jason Marquis of the Nationals early and often. Free selection coming up in just a moment on Tampa and Detroit, plus my comments and opinions on the Cardinals-Reds NL Central showdown. A couple of quick notes here. Yesterday I happened to make mention of the fact that my wife was a little pissed off that she had dropped some bucks playing video poker on Saturday night. Only she was complaining. She was whining. Yes, she was whining because she had dropped about $250 playing over at the Palms. Now, as I mentioned to you yesterday, of course, this is somebody who somehow has managed to win like $8,000 playing video poker over the past couple months. I don't know anybody who wins playing video poker. I learned a very important lesson from yesterday's video report. Do not make fun of your wife on these video reports, and she sees them, and she really gets ticked off. Yes! So, yesterday she was ticked off because she lost money. Today she's only ticked off at me. She also had to remind me, of course, after yesterday, it's like 100 degrees here. You know, it was a little hot yesterday. I washed and waxed both cars. But she told me that, you know, it's a lot of work, she told me. A lot of work to sit there and play those machines 4 or 5 hours. She was complaining about her arm hurting her, a little carpal tunnel syndrome. I have no comment today. I've learned my lesson. Also, today, do you realize, for those of you that are Grateful Dead fans, now I am not a Grateful Dead fan, never was a Grateful Dead fan. Today is 15 years since Jerry Garcia decided to go meet his maker. Interesting Grateful Dead related story for you. My first job out of college was working for a cable television station in Philadelphia that was based at the Spectrum, the old sports arena in South Philadelphia. So my first day in there, it was a non-union shop, and you know, I had done everything. Worked for local cable television for a number of years, doing play-by-play and color analysts, and done some technical stuff. But they said, "Do you know how to run a camera?" And I'm going, yeah, I know how to run a camera, but there's a big difference between what I had run and between what they run at a TV station. So the guy gives me the book and a $14,000 camera, and he says, well, go out and practice this afternoon, shoot some stuff in the parking lot and see how you do. So I go out into the parking lot, and the Grateful Dead are playing 2 nights later. 2 nights later, they're playing at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. Well, I don't know if you remember this way back when, but when the Dead played, it wasn't just Bill Walton going with the Caravan. You know, everybody showed up. It was like going to a Dead concert was like the thing to do. I swear to God, you know, I was way too young to remember Haight-Ashbury of the 60s, but I mean, I walked out into the parking lot. I mean, this is like the 80s, and I'm seeing way too much tie-dye. And I'm walking around with this camera, and I'm telling you, if they had a tox screening the next day, I would have flunked. You talk about secondhand smoke. I saw more pot, more shrooms, more I got offered more LSD that day by everybody. I swear to God, I think every outdated VW minibus that was still running from 1967, I think it was in that parking lot in South Philadelphia. Craziest 3 hours I ever spent in my life walking around with this $13,000, $14,000 camera filming these people who really didn't make a lot of sense. But anyway, that's your Jerry Garcia and Grateful Dead story for today. As for your free pick, first let's talk about the Cardinals and Cincinnati Reds contest. I can tell you right now, everybody's going to be on St. Louis today. Why shouldn't they be on St. Louis today? Right now, the overnight price, I'm doing this video report for you at about midnight here on, well, let's see, is it midnight Sunday or is it midnight Monday? However you want to look at it, but it's very early in the morning here Monday in Vegas. Everybody's going to be on the Cardinals because Chris Carpenter has absolutely owned Cincinnati Reds, going 8-0 in his career against them with a 1.89 earned run average, including 3-0 this year versus them, giving up just 11 hits and 3 runs over 21 innings. He's also won 3 straight starts at Great American Ballpark. And you also have to consider, that the Reds are going with the rookie Mike Leake, who after a great start has definitely hit a little bit of a wall here. His last 2 starts against Pittsburgh and Houston, he has been beaten up, giving up 14 hits and 10 earned runs in 11.1 innings. However, may I just caution you, remember, it was just last week, Francisco Liriano had won 4 straight starts. He was 3-0 against the Cleveland Indians. Yeah, that went over real good in that road start by the Twins ace, as he was just pounded early and often. It is hard for any pitcher, I don't care who you are, to beat another team, especially one in your own division, 4 times in a year. Now, Carpenter's been in this team 3 times this year and 8 straight times over the past or during his career. But keep in mind, this Reds team, they have won 9 of their last 11 games. They are for real. So, just a game I think that I have to stay away from. For your free pick your poison here, guys. You've got Tampa Bay at Detroit. You've got a Tigers team that has lost 20 of its last 26 games. You've got a Tampa Bay team that has lost 5 in a row, batting just 149 collectively as a team in that 5-game losing streak. But remember this, Tampa Bay had won 10 out of 11 games before its current nosedive, and that winning streak, 10 out of 11, included a 4-game sweep of the Tigers at Tropicana Field late in July, and they've got David Price going today. Price 2-0 with a 1.65 earned run average and 4 career outings against Detroit. 2 of them starts, including one of those starts in late July at home, in which he allowed just 2 runs and fanned 9 in 6.1 innings of work. He's coming off a very strong start against Minnesota, picked up a no decision in that game that Tampa Bay eventually lost in extra innings, but wasn't because of Price. He did his part. 7 strikeouts and 5 hits and 1 run allowed in 7 very strong innings. Now, Detroit, on the other hand, is going to run out Armando Galarraga once more. Remember that near-perfect game? Well, he hasn't pitched anywhere near that level anytime since, going 1-3 with a 5.48 earned run average in his last 8 starts. That ERA rises to 6.35 in his last 3 starts. So, again, even though the Tigers did beat the Angels and thumped them yesterday to salvage the final game of that 3-game series, keep in mind, they have not won 2 consecutive games since early July prior, when they would won 5 in a row, and since then, they've lost 20 out of 26. So I would go with Tampa Bay here. You're laying about $1.45, and that would be my free pick for your Monday night card.